Hola amigos. Today we are going to talk about possessives. Now you have learned before these possessive adjectives that you see on the screen. We had me and mis and tu and tus and su and sus. We had the singular forms and the plural forms. And we also had that with the third person plural who was there, whatever, their house, su casa, or if it's something plural, sus libros, their books. We had the two forms, singular form and plural form. And then with if it was our, whatever noun that we possessed, we had four forms here. We had a singular form, but we had a singular feminine and a singular masculine and a plural feminine, plural masculine form. So if it was our house, nuestra casa, our room, nuestro cuarto, and then for something plural, our books, nuestros libros, our magazines, nuestras revistas. So we had four forms there. We also had it if it was belonging to you all in España. So, but you learned this last year. Not too difficult, being that there's only these forms that you see here. These two, again, have four forms. The rest of them have a singular and plural form, only the two forms. So, but there is another way that we're going to learn about now of how to show possession. And it is, I'm going to see some of it right here. And here we can see it. And it probably looks pretty similar to what we just looked at. We had the mi, tu, su, and nuestro and vuestro are the same, and su. So very similar. You can see it's just a little bit extra. We had me before as the possessive adjective. And now here we have the stress possessive adjective is mio. Now these are very similar. They're just used in different ways. We can do a little bit more with these types of possessive adjectives. So we're going to just talk about another way to show possession, and it's probably a little bit it's probably gotten a little bit more uses to it. So here is one thing you'll notice right away is, well, I don't know if you'll notice it, but one thing that is different from the other form, from what we just looked at versus these, is that these all have four forms. They all have a masculine singular form. You can see here, this is just like any other adjective that you've learned before. Alto, you've got four forms: the masculine singular, the feminine singular, the masculine plural, and the feminine plural. And they're all formed the way you would expect it to be formed. Now notice with mio, we've got an accent mark on that I. Make sure we separate those vowel sounds. So mio, mia, mios, and mias. Tuyo, tuya, tuyos, tuyas. So again, o, a, os, as, that's the ending for all of these, just like it is for our regular adjectives. Now, how it is not used exactly the same way that we use the other possessive adjectives that you've learned. We are going to use these, and then I'm sorry, let me be down to right here. This is what I wanted to show you. So normally when you had my, your, his, her, those possessive adjectives, we would use that possessive adjective. Like in this case, we got su impresora, her printer. We put it before it. But with these stressed ones, what we do is we put them after it actually. And in this example, they use the definite article, but you can see it with the indefinite article. We can see it with you can see it with demonstratives as well. Demonstrative adjectives, this and that, este, esta, those types of words. But yeah, so here it is, it's after it. But these really, su impresora, la impresora suya, they mean the same thing, just another option. Again, I think it might seem like this is more complicated, maybe slightly more complicated, but like I said, there's also more uses to it that we can use. Here we got nuestros televisores. This is, our TVs and our television sets, as it says here, or los televisores nuestros. Now here, again, los nuestros just placed after it, but we also have an article in front of it. This is what I just said. You'll see it often with a definite article, an indefinite article, or a demonstrative. And here's an example of each of those. Looks like we've got a sentence here. We've got me encantan, and then there are three possibilities we can use, really using the same thing. Just you can see that just as slight variations in its meaning, but more or less the same thing. Me encantan unos discos compactos tuyos. I love some of your CDs. We got that unos discos, but the tuyos comes at the end, comes after the noun is modifying. If we had this with the other form, this would be just me encantan tus discos compactos. And we couldn't really vary it from there. We'd have to use tus discos compactos. Another possibility, me encantan los discos compactos tuyos. I love your CDs. That one's more literal of what we would do if we said me encantan tus discos compactos that you may have learned last year. And then me encantan estos discos compactos tuyos. This is our demonstrative, these CDs of yours. All right. So, like I said, you can use it with the indefinite, the definite, or the demonstrative in order to show possession. So, let me go back a couple notes ago. So when we were just talking about using it with an indefinite article, it gives off that meaning of mine, of yours. So here's a good example. Juancho es un amigo mío. And, you could say Juancho es mi amigo. He is my friend. But this gives off more of the meaning of Juancho is a friend of mine. Nothing really different there, just slight variance. Ella es una compañera nuestra. She's a classmate of ours. Or ella es nuestra compañera. She is our classmate. A classmate of ours, our classmate. Just, another way to express yourself. Let's see, what else we got here? We got the suyo. Now, so suyo can be third person. It can be singular. It can be plural. It can refer to any, it can be his or her or their, or it can be your. We're talking formally with the usted, or all of you are the plural, the ustedes. So it can mean any of those. So you could use it if the context is clear. El teclado suyo. If we know that it is, his, for example, his keyboard, we don't need to clarify that. We can just leave it at that. If we wanted to clarify, then we would avoid using the suyo. We wouldn't use that at all. We would just use the de expression. De also shows possession. If it's followed up with, an el, an ella, or usted, or a person's name, or a company or school, it's the school's keyboard, el teclado de la escuela. So whenever you use that de, it gives off that, it also shows possession, but we're going to be more specific when we follow with de. Suyo can be anybody's, it can be anything that's third person, singular or plural. So another way to show possession is using that de expression. El teclado de, and then whoever possesses it. If it's Ricardo's keyboard, es el teclado de Ricardo. If it is, you just want to say it's her keyboard, you could say el teclado suyo, or you could say el teclado de ella. Again, a little bit more specific, because suyo could be a little bit ambiguous. You're not sure if it's, is that his, is it her keyboard. But again, if the context is already clear, suyo would work just fine. But that is another way that we can show possession, is by using that de expression. Here it's just telling you to use the subject pronoun, which is good. But again, you can also replace this with any person's name as well. Let me get this centered better. So, okay, this is a good one. This is, again, when I was talking about before how we can use it with other, it's got a little bit more use out of it, is we can actually use it as a pronoun. And so if you know how to use these stress possessives, you can actually form these pronouns very easily. And it can show you that it works just like you'd hope it would work. It's a pronoun, so it's replacing the noun. Here we got la calculadora nuestra. This is our calculator, but I can replace our calculator with just ours. I can say this is ours. you know, if you see a calculator on the table and you want to say, oh, that's not yours, that is ours. You know, that is our calculator, or that is ours. If you're using our as in that, you know, that is our calculator, that's a possessive adjective. If you're saying that is ours, now we're talking, that's a pronoun, a possessive pronoun. And to say that is ours is, you know, es la nuestra. It's ours. So nice. Again, this is actually the whole word right there. This is implies it is when you say that's ours, what do you mean that is our calculator? El fax tuyo, that is it's your fax. You know, we can say that is yours. El tuyo. Those are archivos suyos. Those are, again, we don't actually know what suyo, which we don't have any more context. We can say that is, it is, you know, they're his files, they're her files, they're your files. We're talking about usted, their files. It could be your files in the plural with ustedes. We don't have that specified here, so let's just pretend it means that they are her files. So los archivos suyos, another way we could say that is los archivos de ella, her files. And we get to say they are hers, los suyos. Those are her. This is the possessive pronoun. We don't need to have the noun in there anymore because we replaced it with the los suyos. We actually, all you have to do to make that happen is you get rid of the noun. You can see in each of these, which got rid of calculadora, fax, archivos, and we formed a new, we formed a pronoun. And we did already talk about, you know, the possessives, how they agree in number and gender. They got 4 different forms. So I think I'll save this one for another day. Maybe if you need to get some practice. This is online. We actually have this as a practice online if you're following along as we're doing this live. But maybe I'll make a follow-up video to make sure that we're practicing it okay. You can see what you got to do here. Su cámara digital. This is one way you could say this. What's another way you could say it? You can say la cámara digital suya. We just, su is the possessive, that short possessive. But we have that stress possessive. Suya is that same equivalent, but we put it at the end. We got the definite article beforehand, the noun, and then the possessive adjective after. If we want to make that a pronoun, all we do is we keep that definite article and the possessive, the stress possessive adjective, and that's it. That's how you make the pronoun. That is, now again, we don't know because su is it doesn't clarify. It's something third person, you know, his, her, their, and we don't know that. So we don't know what this actually would translate without any other context, but we guess we say that is his digital camera. This is another way of saying his digital camera. And then here, this is just saying that is his, es la suya. All right, well, I hope this was useful. Bueno, hasta la próxima.